All the world is talking about NFTs and cryptocurrency and tokens and all that stuff. I want to talk about today why I think that NFTs are going to change the future of the gaming world and what I think everyone is missing about NFTs. I'm going to issue you a challenge. I think if you're watching this video right now and you play video games for 15 hours a week or more, you will buy an NFT related to gaming within the next 5 years. That's my challenge to you. You can leave a comment if you do or if you don't, but I think you will. I'm going to explain what I mean by that and how it's going to work in the context of NFTs. And so stay tuned if you want an in-depth video, which I don't think this has been covered in relation to the gaming industry. All right, so would you buy a glowing wiggly worm? This glowing wiggly worm is 9.99 ETH right now. That's $39,661. A couple people are offering $31,000 for it right now. So if this person was willing to sell this wiggly worm for $31,000, they would sell that right then. They could just sell it. So I don't want to talk about art. Every time NFT gets brought up, it's talking about art. It drives me crazy because I think when we can really look, if this video does its job, you will understand by the end of it why I don't care about art at all. And I want to explain something that I think is so much bigger, especially in the context of the gaming industry. But to do that, I need to set you up with some expectations first about what NFTs are. You can watch a lot of videos or get a lot of information about what NFTs are. I'm going to explain pretty quickly what an NFT is, and we're going to go over it together, okay? So an NFT, just in relation to the concepts you need to understand for the purpose of this video. So NFT stands for a non-fungible token, okay? Most people that are related to NFTs know that, but what does that really mean? Well, in an economy, everything is either fungible or non-fungible. Okay, so a fungible thing would be like a can of soda. We can produce a lot of them. You can make a bunch of them. They're not particularly valuable on their own. A non-fungible thing would be like a painting or like Starry Night, a very famous painting or something like that. So everything in our economy can essentially be boiled down to being separated from fungible to non-fungible things. You have things like water bottles, which can just be fungible. You can make tons of them. Or you can have this particular jacket that I wear, which no one else wears. There are other versions of this jacket, but this jacket that I wear is mine, and it is the only one of its kind, and so it has a non-fungible value, at least to me, right? That, if somebody came up to me and said, I'll pay you $5 for that jacket, I would not go for it because I like this jacket quite a bit. Then we got to talk what a token is. So a token is a recorded... It's basically a thing that lives on a blockchain. I'm not going to explain the blockchain this whole video, don't worry. But it's effectively a record-keeping ledger, just like in accounting, where something lives forever publicly on what you could think of as a database, which is also a blockchain, okay? Now, again, there are tons of stuff you could look into for NFTs. I encourage you to, but I just want to explain these basic concepts and then a couple of other concepts about what NFTs can do because they're going to be necessary. And like, if you are in the gaming industry or you are a content creator, you're going to want to listen up to what these can do. Okay, so an NFT can do a couple of things that are really interesting. It can do a lot of things, but here's some of the things that are really interesting for what we're going to be talking about. First of all, it can assign a kickback from every sale forever, locked into a smart contract on the blockchain. So what do I mean by a kickback? So let's say that you are a musician and you sell an album for $10. That album might become famous 100 years later or 50 years later or 5 years later. You would never really be able to ever get anything back. Like, let's say that I trade that album to my friend for $1,000 because it's exceedingly rare. The original artist will never receive $1 of that after they sell the album until now. What an NFT can do is it can assign a kickback from every sale automatically. So you can say, okay, I want 10% of every time this is sold. So you can go and sell an album, like 50 copies of an album on digitally, and then let's say that album sells for $100 to someone else, you can assign 10%, 20%, 50% of that kickback. Bam, you get $10, 10%, right? So that's the first thing that NFTs can do. You can also assign a limited number of NFTs attached to the token. And the token can have governance protocols, so things it does or doesn't do. So you can release 500 of something, 1,000 of something, and everything can be an NFT. Literally anything you can imagine, any digital asset. And to understand why things like the glowy worm are going for $30,000, you have to understand the concept of scarcity. Scarcity runs our entire economy, supply and demand, right? If something is more scarce, it's worth more. If there is less of it and more people want it, then it is worth more. Currently, pretty much all of the, as of the time of the filming of this video, pretty much all of the NFT market is speculation that it's people buying up this art and this stuff that is on the that is an NFT because there's a belief that it will later be valuable or more valuable to someone else. So very few people are like collectors or getting things because they're cool. They're mostly getting things because they appreciate and value. So you might be saying at this point, okay, I understand that scarcity is like important. I could see how some of these things would go, but where's like the actual value and like how are we going to tie this into the gaming industry? And that's what I want to talk about next. So to talk about that, remember I issued you a challenge, right? I said that all y'all will buy an NFT within the next 5 years if you play a lot of video games. So I want to introduce a skin to you from a game called League of Legends. There's a lot of ways I could use an example here, but I'm going to use an example of a skin called Black Alistar. Black Alistar is a super, super rare skin in League of Legends. It is so rare that my former roommate Aframu, when I was in CLG, who is a League of Legends pro player, still is, wanted this skin more than anything, and even Riot wouldn't give it to him. He would very easily pay $10,000, I think $20,000 for a Black Alistar skin on his account. And you can go out and you can pay $10,000, $20,000 for this digital asset. Now, I'm using this example because I think most people can relate to it. You have probably bought an MTX on a store like the League of Legends store or somewhere else, or you've considered doing it. I have bought MTX for Path of Exile, a game that I play. I've bought them on League of Legends. I've bought them all over the place, and I will buy MTX for my characters on different MMOs or spend money on a mount. I'm totally okay with doing that. My justification for it is if I'm getting, I don't know, 200, 300 hours of gameplay out of that game, or 1,000, like in the case of Path of Exile, which I've put over 4,000 hours in, right? Buying a $60 supporter back for dollar per hour value and entertainment compared to like a movie or something else is not that big of a deal. It's a pretty reasonable transaction, right? Like I'm getting a lot of value out of that game. I'm happy to kick back to the developers for the MTX. But you might be a person that says, well, that's great that Aframu would pay $15,000 for this, but why would I pay $15,000 for this? Why would I pay $500 for an MTX? I hate MTX. I hate NFTs. I'll never buy those. End the video. This is a scam. All right. Let me give you a literal example using Black Alistar of where I think that almost every gamer might consider this. Let's say that League of Legends chooses to release Black Alistar, okay, as an NFT. So you get the skin in-game, and the skin is tradable. I can't spell. On their marketplace, okay? Because most of these people are not going to use OpenSea or any of the marketplaces. They're going to use their own. We'll just assume that, okay? So, and then we'll say that like the kickback to Riot is like, that's the people that make League of Legends is like, I don't know, 10% or something, okay? Doesn't matter. They release 500 of them limited, okay? Do you think that a lot of people would go for this? I think they would. I think those 500 would sell it instantly, right? Intuitively, you know that. But I'm going to add something crazy to it that I think is going to redefine NFTs, and this is going to be the big thing we're going to be talking about. What if I told you that each one of those NFTs also assigned that owner a vote? And each vote could add one of 3 items to the game. The real power of NFTs is that it can turn players into partial decision makers and owners. Because remember, I told you that you can assign a token or an NFT a governance protocol. One of those governance protocols could be that you have a vote going into the development cycle or the future of a particular project. And Ethereum and certain what's called DAOs, which are decentralized autonomous organizations that run off of these voting systems and these governance protocols, their entire organization runs as a result of the stakeholders in these. So if you imagine a game like League of Legends, maybe the developers have committed to adding one of 3 items. They get to decide which of the 3 they're going to suggest, but you, the player, have a significant portion of the decision in making in what items they release. It is my opinion that the developers will do this for the vast majority of games as NFTs develop. And I think almost everybody can see how awesome it would be to be a partial owner in something, in addition to owning something very limited in a game that you enjoy. So I would go for like a pair of angel wings in Path of Exile, no problem. But if you told me that I could also I could also contribute to the game in some kind of decisive way, even if it was very minor, that'd be awesome too. It'd make players feel like owners, which is like really cool. So you're starting to see that how like what don't look at the market of NFTs as they exist right now. It's early. Like, of course, there's going to be all kinds of scams and like there's going to be all kinds of stuff that's like 99% of these projects are just going to be obliterated in the coming months and years. There's like none of this stuff is going to be worth anything. I don't even know if like super established stuff like Bored Ape Yacht Club, like under Y Combinator is going to do anything. It's hard to say, right? But like for sure, as game developers start to become wiser about how these systems can be utilized, NFTs are going to be a really big part of it because they allow people to participate in the actual making of the game or ownership of the game. They make players feel like owners. And I think that there's also a future in a couple of other things. And so I want to show you a game real quick that is not sponsored or anything. Obviously, I'm not doing this video because I'm doing these because I truly believe in the projects. So if you look at a game called Axie Infinity, Axie Infinity is a PvP and PvE questing game where you get these blobs. Each one of these blobs is an NFT. It's listed on the marketplace, and it has stats. It has things like strength, intelligence, and there's different archetypes of them. There's like the plant-based one, there's air-based ones, there's water-based ones, and different stat combinations and different abilities will allow your Axie to do different things in combat. You can see like this is like the combat screen where you'll fight against like a team of enemy Axies. You can fight against players, or you can fight against NPCs or PCs. And you see these cards like a Slay the Spire type game where each one of these cards is assigned to every individual Axie and you get abilities. You can play this game. The game produces what's called SLP. SLP stands for a smooth love potion, which is used to make new Axies, or can be tradable on the open market. And if we go check CoinGecko, for example, for SLP, we can see that SLP right now is 0.03 cents. And you can earn right now, as of the time of this recording, you can earn about $14 to $15 in SLP if you do all of the daily quests for Axie Infinity. So check this out. There's a huge number of people in Southeast Asia and underdeveloped countries that are using Axie Infinity because they all have phones and they're grinding the equivalent of full-time income for themselves as a result of just playing a game that they enjoy. And you're also seeing some kind of this in some of the ambitious projects. Like right now, Star Atlas is a project that's valued at $5 billion, which is a grand strategy MMO type game that involves kind of Eve-like experience and is all attached to NFTs. And you could go like really deep into this, and I think this one, like in particular, this may very well follow like the Star Citizen model. It could be vaporware, and I'm not particularly shilling any of these individual projects. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you the kind of like potential for this technology. So you can look here and you can see like the Axie marketplace where you can buy these. And so you can go in, you can set up 3 Axies, and then you can start grinding for real currency, like currency that actually is translatable into into money. And there's all these different other things about Axie. There's the actual Axie token, which puts you as a part owner. One of the cool things about Axie also is third-party development protocols. So, for example, they added a system called scholars and managers to the game, where a manager is a person who sponsors another person with some Axies. So you can give a person some Axies to start playing the game themselves, and then they split the income amongst themselves. So now what's happening in Southeast Asia, in places like the Philippines, is companies are going out to schools and they're hiring kids to via this scholar program to be into guilds, who then play and grind the game and earn SLP for themselves, get themselves out of poverty, and then simultaneously increase the value of their Axies in their accounts. This is just the iceberg, the tip of NFTs. And it's why I think that gaming is going to be such an insane place to be in the next 5 to 7 years, where I think that it won't just be that gamers are playing games and we won't be consuming or using monetization models in the same way that we used to. We're going to be playing to earn. These things are going to have actual value, and we're going to all be kind of collectors of assets and games. And many people see this as like a negative thing because they're looking at all of the scams of NFTs and saying, oh, like this really sucks. But I want to present you this like alternative view that like you could be partial owners in these games. You could feel like all the like MTX you have or the things that you have mean something, or that you could even make governance decisions if the game developers are those types of people, of which many of these Web3 developers really are. This is just like so cool to me. And I harken back to, there was a project that Blizzard tried a really long time ago, which was the Diablo 3 auction house. The first day that the Diablo 3 auction house was out, I made $800 USD. And I've had great gaming experiences, but that felt so good to be able to like actually use the skills I have as a gamer to make real life money and still enjoy playing a game. And unfortunately, that was shut down. A lot of people hated it. They thought like a real money auction house was really bad, and it just didn't happen. I loved it. I thought it was really cool. I think it is so awesome that like, isn't this what a lot of people have always been asking for? Like, people are like, man, I wish I could do gaming as a job. Like, isn't that why streaming is like such an incredibly popular thing? Is you want to sit around playing video games and stream it and make a ton of money? It's the most popular job in the United States next to being a YouTuber. And why is that? It's because people have this perception, this fantasy right now, that if they play video games, they can earn full income doing it, and they want to tie something they love to their job. And yet those same people will blow out NFTs because right now it's a wiggly worm that's worth $30,000 for a JPEG. And you're going to get 100% agreement from me. That's ridiculous. Like, why would we ever buy something like that? But to see the future of what this could be, where imagine you're playing a game that you truly love, but you also have the opportunity to earn within it. I think that's the potential of NFTs. So I want to tell you, like this is something I would do if I were you. I would take 40 to 50 hours of your time, 20 hours of your time, and just start on Google, start on YouTube. What is an NFT? And just go down the rabbit hole and start learning about this stuff. It's going to be a really big deal. And that's why I'm posting it on this channel, which follows marketing insights and follows things that are happening in new media. I think that this is probably one of the biggest things. No, it is the biggest thing in the gaming industry in the next 10 years, just straight up. And it was very, very early. And a lot of people are going to disagree with this video. It's going to get downvoted a ton, and people are going to see it's like there. And by the way, there's going to be developers that do cash grabs. Actually, there just was one, right? If people are following this video recently, there was an Ubisoft release for a game where they just tossed a bunch of NFT skins on OpenSea, and they tied it behind grinding the game for hours to get access to these. I don't like that. Like, I don't think that's very good. I think there's a lot of developers that are going to do this wrong. But the first people that are innovative enough to integrate this as a part of like giving the community a voice and a living, breathing development cycle, in addition to tying it to MTX, making the core gameplay good, they're going to nail it, and it is going to be life-changing for people. And I'm looking outside of the first world also, and just seeing how much opportunity there is for people to be able to earn income, or people to have side hustles in relation to games like Axie Infinity. Super cool. It's just really awesome. And I hope that you take the time to research it. If you are a person who is interested in this, and you are a brand, or you are an NFT people yourself, you think you're working on a cool project, I do run an agency called Novo, which is a company that is like really kind of like pivoting towards working with NFT people to try to like introduce these really good projects. I'm not interested in your scam coin or things like that, but I'm very interested in really cool, legit projects to start talking about. So if you enjoyed this video, come check out my Patreon. Patreon.com/Devin Nash is where I do a lot of like business, like new media talk, kind of more specifics that I can put on this YouTube. And if you don't want to pay for anything, that's cool too. Just thanks for watching the video. Go join the Discord. Discord.gg/Devin is completely free, and there's a lot of conversation about this kind of stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this talk. I hope this was beneficial, and maybe I changed your mind about a few things. Maybe I didn't. Tell me in the comments. I'll read them. Thanks. See you next time.